What's going on, guys? Farah Hanoun here, aka UFC News Alerts, and I'm here just to give a few comments on post UFC 229. Of course, Khabib Nurmagomedov defeated Conor McGregor to defend his lightweight championship in the fourth round via rear naked choke. Massive fight, but I feel what everybody's talking about is the aftermath, of course, the brawl that happened right after Khabib submitted Conor McGregor. He threw out his mouthpiece and then turned around, and it appeared that Dylan Dennis was saying some stuff, and out of anger, he climbed over the cage, jumped at him, soared like an eagle, and a brawl started. Now, of course, that's been the talk all week. I just wanted to give a few thoughts on it. Of course, Khabib's been holding in so much anger, so much emotion. It started in the press conference when Conor McGregor made it a little bit more personal than he usually does, going after his father, calling Khabib's father a coward, going after his religion. Now, I do want to kind of elaborate on that a little bit because a lot of people are saying, what did he say about his religion? You know, he didn't really say anything. And I kind of agree with that. I feel that's being a little bit blown out of proportion. Now, the thing is with this, it kind of depends on how personally people take things. I think that's what people aren't really looking at, because when you look at what Conor said in regards to religion, now, a couple of things have kind of upset people. Number one, obviously Conor's promoting his whiskey, Proper 12. It just happened to be, I believe if Conor was fighting anybody else, he would have been promoting that whiskey. Now, Conor offered Khabib a drink. Khabib doesn't drink. He's a devout Muslim. He kind of got offended by that. A lot of Muslims seem to get offended by that. I understand that, but in that regard, to be fair, I believe that Conor McGregor would have probably done that move regardless of who his opponent was. I don't think it was necessarily to do with Khabib. Of course, I mean, I know Conor knows what he's doing. Conor does his research. He's not stupid. There was a little bit maybe of, okay, Khabib doesn't drink. He went with the why don't you drink and put in his face. Nothing too crazy in my opinion, but like I said, it depends on the person who gets personally offended by what's being said. So fair enough, some people take things a lot more personally than others do. And then you had him calling him a backward C word, not to repeat it. Now, of course, what you guys know, backward, he means the way he thinks, and people have linked that to Khabib's religion, meaning that some people believe that Conor was kind of insulting Khabib, being a Muslim, calling his beliefs and what he stands by backwards. So I understand that as well. It's all interpretation. You know, Conor's, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's saying. He does his research. Again, if it depends on the person and how personally they take the insult. Now, of course, a lot of Muslims, they didn't like that. They didn't like what Conor McGregor said. And obviously Khabib didn't. With Khabib, it's a lot of things. It's not just that. It's what he said about his father, which in my opinion, I believe that was more of an issue than the religion thing. Just in my opinion, again, obviously Khabib, it kind of all piled up. Calling his father a coward, talking about Vladimir Putin, talking about politics, and he brought up his manager as well. There was just so much going on, so much boiling up for Khabib. My opinion, the fight is where you let it all out. And he did. I mean, Khabib had a near flawless performance. He went out there, he did exactly what he wanted to do. He put Conor on his back, he beat him up, and then obviously submitted him at the end. He finished him. He had a lot of bottled in anger. Now, did Khabib plan on brawling from the start? I don't think so. I believe that he kind of saw an opportunity. So it's bottled in anger. He saw an opportunity. Now, of course, the way people are looking at it is that there are so many different videos that came out, so many different angles. But one of the angles that we look at, when Dylan Dennis, as soon as Conor McGregor got submitted, Conor's corner was going to go up the stairs and obviously go to their guy. Now, Khabib's manager, his Russian manager, I'm not talking about Ali, Magomedov, his Russian manager, kind of gave Dylan kind of like a bit of a demeaning pat on the back and kind of pulled him back. And I believe that that's where all of this started. Once he did that, Dylan obviously turned around to react to that. And I believe that Khabib, after he threw his mouthpiece, turned around, he saw an altercation. So obviously he didn't know entirely what was going on. He saw that altercation, and there's a lot of bad blood. So he kind of jumped over the fence and a brawl started. Now, can you blame him 100% entirely? Yes and no. I mean, I don't like what he did. I also don't like the bus attack, of course. Like, nothing right about that. And then people go back and say, well, Khabib started it because he confronted Artem. So many different ways to look at it. I think it's all wrong, if you ask me my opinion. I think the bus attack, I don't think it's a matter of, oh, he should have done this because he did that. We're not in school. We're not like, all right, he told on me, so I'm going to tell on him. That's wrong. This is wrong. Both are wrong, in my opinion. I believe with Khabib, you won the fight. That, for me, was enough. If he went on the mic, he could have vented out on the mic, in my opinion. He could have gotten that microphone and been like, he could have yelled at Dana, he could have talked to the UFC, he could have sent a message to the fans, to Conor. You won the fight. You submitted him. There is nothing that Conor McGregor can say in that moment. It's done. You would think it's done. But I believe that the Brawl, he had a lot of anger in him. There's a lot he stands by and a lot that he believes in. So I understand where he's coming from. I do. It's not the way I'd go about it. I don't agree with it, but I kind of understand it, if it makes any sense. But what did he gain out of this Brawl? In my opinion, the only thing he did with this Brawl is open the door for a potential rematch. Because for me, if he beat Conor, went on the mic and kind of, if he had a lot of bottled in anger, then he could have gone on the mic and said something. That's fine. You could have gone on the mic. It's your moment. You could have taken a dig at Dana, the UFC, at Conor. Do whatever you want. But I believe the Brawl, now, it kind of like added an extra chapter to this rivalry. And that, in my opinion, opened the door for a rematch. So Dana might say he's disgusted, like he did with the Conor Brawl. But at the end of the day, this is all promo. And this is all kind of like the fight itself, the way the fight went, I don't believe there should be a rematch. Because it was a definitive win for Khabib. It really was. It's not all negative with Conor. If you break it down, there were some positive things. I was surprised. Like in the first round, he did a good job of not taking damage. In the second round, he did take some strikes to the face towards the end. There was some like severe ground and pound at the end. But in the third round, he showed some positive signs and he was standing. He was a little bit tired. I felt like he was a bit off with his timing. Not making excuses for him, of course. It could be the layoff. It could be him tired. I mean, he did get beaten down pretty badly at the end of the second. But in the third round, I felt like that was Conor's opportunity. And he was able to keep it on the feet and he was stuffing takedowns. So there are some positives to take out if you're Conor McGregor. But in the grand scheme of things, if you see the way the fight played out, I mean, it's a definitive win for Khabib. And I don't think it's a rematch. Like, the Nate fight wasn't even for a championship. Conor was doing well in that fight. Gassed out. It was kind of the first time that we see that switch in a Conor McGregor fight. It was the first time he lose in the UFC. That was different. This one I felt because Khabib went and did what Khabib does in pretty dominant fashion. So that's why I believe that there shouldn't be a rematch. But now with the Brawl, I feel like Khabib opened the door for a potential rematch. And when he did that, I feel that way the rivalry is not over. Another thing, I believe that when you look at the Brawl, because this is something that I missed, people are talking about Conor threw the first punch. Now, there are other camera angles that show that when Conor McGregor climbed the fence, because obviously he saw the ruckus happening between Dylan and Khabib, he was climbing over. It appeared to be that Khabib's cousin, Abu Bakr, grabbed Conor's leg. Now, we have to watch this again. Somebody's got to explain it. But it appears that somebody grabbed Conor's ankle, in which he turned around, retaliated, and threw those punches. So technically, Conor was just defending himself. And then he went back into the octagon and he got attacked by Zubaira and Enisam. They were throwing punches. That's wrong. All that is wrong. There is no justification in this, and people need to understand that. It's wrong. Now, Dana said that everybody in that cage other than Conor and Khabib is done. And a lot of people are getting angry and saying that they shouldn't be fired. And then Khabib comes out and goes, if you fire Zubaira, I'm done. And it's a whole plot twist because right now the commission has Khabib's money. Khabib hasn't been paid yet. Conor has. They've both been suspended temporarily for just about 10 days. We're going to find out what happens with them on the 24th. I suspect that Khabib's punishment is going to be a lot larger than Conor's. Probably a larger fine. Just because he started all of this. When you look at Conor McGregor's involvement, it's kind of like a murder investigation. Literally, like you're looking back at video and tape and seeing what's going on. And when you look at it, if Conor was grabbed by his ankle and he turned around to defend himself, he's not really in the wrong here. And when he was pulled down and he got punched, now remember, of course, Paul Daly got fired instantly. No remorse, no question. Got fired when he swung at Josh Koscheck after he lost to Josh Koscheck. And he was fired. Done. And UFC have this rule. When it's in the octagon, Conor had just lost. This is different. The bus incident is no better. It was horrific. It was horrible. And I believe that Conor McGregor was very, very fortunate that the injuries were minor. Yes, people were pulled out of cards. But imagine if somebody, God forbid, lost his eyesight or something really major. Conor would have been in so much more trouble. And honestly, his intent, he's lucky with what he came out with. You know, Chiesa, a couple of cuts, Borg, like a bit of glass in his eye, but he was fine, like people shaking up. But he's lucky that no one got majorly hurt. So the intention he was going in with could have made the situation a lot uglier. So the buzz, nobody's saying, but look at what Conor did in the buzz. That was 100% wrong. He is fortunate with what he came out with. But a couple of pointers. Conor wasn't competing. He wasn't a licensed fighter in New York City. He was there while Khabib was competing. He was there and he got suspended and punished by the commission. The UFC didn't do anything to him. I don't believe the UFC will do anything to Khabib either. I don't believe they will strip him either. The commission. Now this is in the hands of the commission. There is no double standard here because we're talking about the commission dealing with Khabib, a licensed fighter in Nevada. This is different. It's a different case than talking about Conor in the bus situation in New York because Conor wasn't competing. Khabib is a licensed fighter in Nevada and he is competing, which is why the commission will deal. And there is no double standard. The UFC have not done anything. If the UFC do, if you're comparing, and now the last point is that people are comparing Artem Lobov and his involvement in the bus incident in comparison to Zubaira's. But Zubaira was swinging punches at Conor and they were there and it was during the fight. It's different. They didn't fire Artem, but they pulled him out of the card. So this is why they are pulling Zubaira. That's fair play. Dana says a lot out of emotion. He did say anyone involved was done, but he did not straight up say that Zubaira is fired. He did not say that. We're still going to see. So I feel like people need to wait and see what goes on before reacting. Finally, one thing to round this up. The one thing that I dislike about all this is the amount of hate and anger and disrespect that this whole debate is causing. We've gone into religion, we've gone to politics, fair play. You can say that Conor started all that. But now you saw a lot of fans brawling after the event. You have people, you see that knockout? Like somebody got knocked out clean when the fans were out there. The Russian fans and the Irish fans. Now, of course, there were a lot more Irish fans than Russians because if there were equal amount, it could have gotten a lot uglier. And it was already ugly. You had fans brawling. So I believe that this whole thing, the way it played out, it's all negative. It's nothing about it looks good. It's creating a lot of hate, and I see people online and the way they're talking to each other, and it's bad. It's a lot of hate and it's a lot of anger. And yes, you say Conor McGregor is in the wrong because he started talking about this in the press conference and all that. But then you look at Khabib and his actions after the fight, and he just continued it. He didn't end it. He ended it in the fight. But by brawling with Conor and reacting the way he did, in my opinion, he just continued it. Whether they do the rematch right away or not, I don't know. But he continued it. And this is why if you go online now, the debate is endless. People are still talking about it every day, and it's not even a civil conversation. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of insults. There's a lot of anger. And it's just not what the sport is really about. Whose fault specifically? It's both their faults. Conor may have started this, or in some people's opinion, Khabib may have started it by confronting Artem with his group. But either way, Khabib had a chance to end it on Saturday, and he didn't. In my opinion, he just added an extra chapter. So some people can agree that Khabib had a right to react. He's defending his honor. Fair enough. I'm not going to say, like I don't know how he exactly feels, so I can't put myself in his shoes. But in my opinion, he had a chance to end it on Saturday. He won the battle. He could have ended it right there, put the nail in the coffin. But instead, in my opinion, he opened the door to a potential rematch. The hate's still there. The rivalry's still there. The fans are still going at it every single day on social media. I just believe that this isn't over. And I feel like we're going to talk about it week after week after week after week. And people are going to argue and people are going to hate on each other and they're going to insult each other and religion's going to get into it and politics, and it's just wrong. It's kind of sending the wrong message. And I just wish that on Saturday night, Khabib could have just put that nail in the coffin, got on the mic, vented out, fair play. He had the whole press conference to do that too. But in my opinion, I don't agree with his actions after the fight with the Brawl. Just like I don't agree, of course, with Conor McGregor's actions in the bus attack. I felt like it was way over the top, super dangerous, and he was very fortunate that nobody got hurt. Khabib's also fortunate that nobody got majorly hurt. You've got friends, you've got family, you've got women and children and old people in the crowd. If one of them could have gotten badly hurt, both of them would have gotten in a lot more trouble. So I feel like both of them are fortunate with the aftermath that nobody got too injured. But as for now, it seems that we're going to wait for the commission to handle Khabib's punishment. And in regards to Zubaida, I don't, Khabib seems pretty serious about asking to be let go if Zubaida gets let go. But we'll see about that. I believe that usually Dana doesn't care. Like when you make ultimatums to the UFC, it never ever works. But just now, and only because, and this is going to sound bad, but in my opinion, I feel Dana can see, because obviously this broke the pay-per-view record, UFC 229, it's projected to have made 2.4 million in pay-per-view buys. Smashes the previous record of 1.8 of Conor Nate 2. So in my opinion, of course, when you see the story and all the stuff they could use in the promo, of course they're going to use the Brawl in the promo, 100%. So when you see the story and the next chapter that's kind of created, I mean, people are going to forget that the fight was pretty one-sided because now it's super personal. And if Zubaida and Artem go, in my opinion, Zubaida and Artem shouldn't fight. Because if they do fight, Khabib's going to be there for Zubaida and Conor's going to be there for Artem, and it's probably going to get ugly again. In my opinion, don't make that fight happen. Zubaida can fight somebody else if they decide not to fire him. But in my opinion, if there's any time that an ultimatum might actually work against Dana, it might be this one, just because I feel Dana will do anything possible for that rematch because he's a businessman. Dana's not racist. He doesn't care about religion or ethnicity. He doesn't care about anything. Dana likes money. He doesn't care where you're from, what your color of your skin is, or what your religion is. People need to understand that about Dana because he's never been like that. Dana's a businessman. He wants to make money. He likes the promo. He likes big business. He likes big money. So Dana doesn't care about any of this stuff. He just wants the rematch. Why would he want the rematch? Yes, because Conor's his son and he's his golden child. But Conor's the one that brings in the big bucks. And now you have a dancing partner in Khabib. First it was Nate. Nate was the guy. Now you have a dance partner. Because Khabib is very popular himself. He's got 12 million followers on Instagram now. And so many people are behind him now because he beat Conor. And he also has the whole of Russia. He has the whole Muslim community. He's a popular guy. But at the end of the day, who's the number one money maker in the UFC? Who's the pay-per-view king? Whether you like it or not, it's Conor McGregor. Yes, he lost. Yes, it was one-sided. I don't think people are going to sell out on Conor McGregor yet. I feel like they're still there. His fans are still there. This whole rivalry, the Brawl, is making them stick with him even more. Yes, Khabib is gaining fans. So now there's a big rematch to be made. Is it fair? No. You've got Tony Ferguson, a phenomenal fighter that just went through a phenomenal war, Fight of the Year candidate against Anthony Pettis. That guy deserves it 1,000,000%. Are the UFC going to try to make the rematch? 1,000,000%. If they can't, then we can start looking at Khabib, Tony, Conor, Nate 3, whatever it may be. Now, when you look at Nate Diaz, Poirier just got injured. Nate's free now. Nate just wants money. He doesn't care about the belt. You got Conor McGregor who's coming off a loss. Trilogy makes perfect sense. Tony Ferguson hasn't lost in years. 11-fight win streak. Had a phenomenal war with Anthony Pettis. Miraculously came back from knee surgery in 6 months. That guy is a freaking warrior. And his pay got cut from $500K to $150K with a $5K win bonus because they stripped his interim title. If anyone is getting screwed over, it's Tony Ferguson. Excuse my language. If anybody is getting food off of their table, it's Tony Ferguson. He's the guy that should be angry in all this situation. But the UFC always look for money. Now, one last pointer. Khabib doesn't fight in Ramadan. Meaning, if he doesn't fight end of April, he won't fight until September, October. You're talking about an entire year off. No way Conor McGregor waits. No way Conor McGregor sits out a year. So that's when the trilogy could play a factor. Now, again, we have to see what the commission does with Khabib. Do they suspend him? How long do they suspend him for? The fine, everything like that. That's going to play a factor of the rematch. Because if the rematch happens, it's got to happen quick. It's going to have to happen end of April. Ramadan is going to be early May. So that's another factor people need to think about. So many things to look at. Are the UFC going to want to make the rematch? Of course, it's the big money. It's the big money fight. So many outside interest has come in for this fight. I've had so many people hit me up about this fight that know nothing about MMA. And that's the kind of thing that Conor McGregor does. And now you've got Khabib, a Russian. He's got his Russian fans behind him. He's got the Muslim community behind him. He brings certain markets with him. So does Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is the most popular athlete in MMA. One of the most popular athletes right now, period. It is the biggest fight. If this pay-per-view did 2.4, this one could do close to 3 million. And why you can see how much the UFC has struggled with pay-per-view, guys. UFC 228 did 130K. That's it. 130K. You don't think the UFC are going to want to do this rematch? We know how desperate the UFC is for pay-per-view. They created an interim title, for Tyron Woodley in May. Colby fought RDA in May. Colby became the interim champion. Tyron was ready to go the next month. He told them, in June. They fought in June in Chicago, UFC 225. Tyron was ready to go in July. He told them, I'm ready to go in July. Yet they created an interim title just so they could have a championship fight in a pay-per-view. That's how much the UFC needs these championship fights for pay-per-view, because the numbers aren't doing as well as they want them to. There aren't that many stars like there used to be. So now when you have a fight that could do numbers close to 3 million, come on. We all know what the UFC goes after. Is it going to take a lot to convince Khabib? Is it going to take like a record-breaking paycheck? Sure. We don't know. But as for now, people ask me this all the time. Do you think the UFC will go for the rematch? Of course I do, because it's going to bring record-breaking money, record-breaking attention, record-breaking numbers, and you've got a rivalry settled in the cage, in my opinion, but the Brawl just opened the door for so much more. That's just my take. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to follow me at UFC News Alerts on Instagram, Farah_Hanoun on Twitter. Thank you so much.